poetry, radio, versed. It's all about the D. Desire, discipline, dedication. I know what you were thinking, savages, but that ain't it. Let's go.
This is Mazey Knox.
This is Raindog. Love is eternal. Only we fade.
My thoughts are not soup can sized, but rather, that is how I pitch them to stay alive.
Welcome, welcome, and welcome. I am James Hamilton, and this is Versed, Season 1, Episode 4. Versed is here weekly, shining a light on Midwest poets and artists from what we like to call the hub of Midwest poetry, the Rockford, Illinois WBOM studios, located inside the basement of the Mendelssohn Center for the Performing Arts. In the studio with me today, I have Versed producer and cultural reference and also poet, Paul Savvy Magoo Goddard. How you doing, Paul?
I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Twan Suggs over there with the camera. Hey, hey. So, listen, before I introduce you, I want to tell you a little bit something that we do on the show here. I curate, obviously, bring two poets in that have never met before, which you guys haven't, right?
Right.
And there's a common thread between the two of you. That, granted, I cooked it up inside my head.
Messed up place.
Scary place to be. Think about it for the show. At the end of the show, we'll go back to it, and I'll ask you to guess, what do you think the common thread was between the two of you? And we'll see. And it's just kind of a fun little thing. So I like to match people up. So I am super excited today to introduce this episode's first guest. We have Raindog, or can I call you Chad?
No.
No? Okay,
Raindog.
We'll
Only
go with
Raindog.
Raindog. We'll go with Raindog.
Yeah, don't call me Chad, man.
All right. No Chad. Raindog from Hartford, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
And then we've got Mazey Knox.
Rockford, Illinois.
Rockford,
And
Illinois.
does she have a nickname or a stage name?
I often go by Moxie, but I prefer Mazey Knox.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Good to know.
Fantastic. All right, a little bit about yourself. Why don't we start with Raindog? Tell us a little bit about yourself, poetry, experience, all of that fun stuff.
I really don't do bios, man. I don't have a whole lot to say about my life outside of, getting on stage and performing. I don't really like talking about myself very much outside of my poetry.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Maisie?
That works. I'm a poet from Rockford, Illinois. I participate regularly in open mics all around the region. I host two open mics of my own, one at the Inkwell, a bookstore in Rockton, Illinois, and I also host in Midtown Vogue, which is in Midtown Rockford. But besides that, I don't really have much to say about myself.
Cool. How long you been writing?
I've been writing since I was 12, so a long time now, probably going on 9 years now, 8.
Can we tell
10.
listeners how old you are?
I am 20.
20 years old. So writing for 8 years, started at 12. I just want a little story here because I remember when Paul, our producer Paul Savvy Magoo, met you.
Another poet.
With another poet and Mendelssohn Center for the Performing Arts member, right?
Right.
And he sent me this message. He's like, holy crap, James, you're not going to believe this. He goes, I met this poet today, and she's super young. But he's stuttering, and he finally says, he goes, I'm just telling you, she came out, and she was fully formed. That's how he described it.
True story.
And I was like, that...
Parthenogenesis is what it's called.
Parthenogenesis, right. We have a vocabulary here on Verse. There's no question about that. I will have to play this back and look that word up. But it was funny because I was like, I need to meet this person. And when I saw you, he was right. I mean, he was right. You have a maturity to there. How long you been writing?
I've been writing almost 34 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Started
1995. Or no, 1992, 93, somewhere in there.
That math
I was
works
15.
better.
Maybe.
So, been writing a long time, man.
So the first question I like to ask people is about our artistic process. And I mean, whatever that means to you, I've got a couple of things I can ask, as far as specifics go, but I mean, just You know what's your process. So why don't we start with Mazey? Tell us a little bit about how you go about writing or what, your process.
I wish it was like a good normal process, but it's mainly just kind of when I'm at a loss of words. So I kind of translate into some sort of metaphor, poem, what you name it. And then I feel better after I do it. So it's like, oh, I got what I thought across. And that's kind of, it's just based mainly, me, I write based on traumatic event or whatever thereof. So I'm kind of in the early stages of it all still. So
would you say writing is cathartic for you? You say you don't write about traumatic events. You say it's like a healing process?
Oh, yeah. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel better after every single one. Soup can-sized thoughts, loitering in the kitchen, staring blank into the cupboard. Ingredients of me, everywhere. Scatterbrain, no recipe. Instructions blasted all over the label, but still no clue of what to do. Soup can-sized thoughts, well, at least that is how I've imagined them to be. Compartmentalize, organize truth, fear in that first bite of writhing hot soup, temptation I salute, indecisive coward, not appetized by you. Actually, let me break a few dishes, rearrange those cookie-cutter cabinets, not push in my chair. Fuck that coaster. I'll put my drink anywhere. Maybe I'll slam the cupboard door while I'm at it, startling the cabinets to its left and right because I hate soup, but crave any truth that is too big to swallow, leaving me mostly hollow with small remnants of white lies I've told myself over time. Because in reality, my thoughts are not soup can-sized, but rather that is how I pitch them to stay alive. Society is judgment, so I stay put, staring blank into this cupboard, wasting precious borrowed time that is not yours and is definitely not mine.
Cathartic for you, Raindog?
I don't know. It's catharsis. It's storytelling. It's what I do. It's the one true thing in my life is my poetry. Like I said, I've been doing it since I was a young lad. So yeah, I really enjoy poetry. I was built for suffering. Steel edges and sharp lines glittering, covered in blood, cleansed with tears. Bright flares of cold pain that no longer hold the power they used to, because I was built for joy. Found friends flowing new lines like wrought iron filigree, fine like mocha or tattoos of core, waves, sky, and fire. Sunflowers soft like blankets, like cuddles and kisses and baby laughs. And yet I was built for sorrow, to carry the memory of death. Lost love, lost sons, lost souls unknown, and the bitter taste of ash as the whole world burns. Lost in the sigh of a last soft breath as innocence dies. And yet I was built for love, to know what it is to touch souls, find homes, learn to let go, to move on and know. This is what it is to give love. This is what it is to receive love. This is what it is to be love. Knowing how to love is knowing how to carry pain, and it is in this way that I gladly, gloriously, proudly say, I was built for suffering. If we're talking about process, my process over the last year has changed dramatically from what it was, because I just started performing in the last year. I have never been on stage up until this last year, and my process is changing because, we were talking earlier about how getting on stage will take a poem that you have on the page, and it will change because you're modifying it as you're speaking it. Or like when I was doing Little Memories, there are certain phrases that I'm not specific, like these 4 words. As long as I say these 4 words, it works. At what order I say them in doesn't really matter, because there's the stage and there's the page. There's the one you wrote down and there's one you perform, and it can change as you perform it. So, my
Well, and
process
as
is...
you're up there performing it, the only one who knows what order they go in is us,
Right.
the artist. Crowd doesn't know. We could throw a mishmash or anything about a ham sandwich in there, and nobody's going to differ.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
As long as
I
Yeah,
second
for
that.
sure. So let me ask you this. I'll go with Raindog first here. Do you go into a piece, you say like, I'm going to write about this, or I'm going to write about, if you're dealing with, let's say, something that's cathartic, or you're dealing with an emotional problem or something, do you go in and say, I'm going to write about this, or does it just, you sit down and free write and it comes out?
Mostly I free write. Mostly I just sit down and let words flow out of me. Sometimes I really sit down and I have to get something off my chest. Like I have a poem called Aging Party Girl. It's just one of those really, I needed to just be really angry about this person who really hurt me. So it was, how do I say F you without actually saying it? And that poem is how I said it. So sometimes yes, but mostly no. I just kind of let the words flow out of me, and then the poem takes shape after that. And like I'm realizing a lot of my work, I kind of split it up. Like I'll notice that like Little Memories is actually 4 different poems I stitched all together into one poem, because they all work together. So the process changes as years go on, and you really kind of get used to what you're doing and realize that there's more to your art than you thought there was at first, I guess. Right.
Mazey's over here shaking her head yes. About the part where you said you stitched a couple of poems together. Do you want to comment on that?
I have just, it's like a lot of the same topic, but they're scattered all over these different types of poems, but they all could seamlessly work together, but it's like, no, they need to be individual. So I agree with that tremendously.
So I can tell you this, when you talk about your process growing and changing, I think that has to be a constant metamorphosis, right? It has to constantly be growing and changing, or we're not growing as artists.
Exactly.
Recently, I decided what I was going to do was stop trying to write about anything. I live in central Wisconsin. I come to my adopted hometown here in Rockford, Illinois. And while I'm here, I write down observations. There's a piece I did about a city rabbit that ran out while I was drinking coffee in town here. So I put down my little note about that. And when I get home, or sometimes when I get enough stuff there, I just kind of push all that stuff together, and a poem materializes. Sometimes I don't even know what it's about. I'll share it with somebody and they'll go, wow, that's great, the metaphor, this, and they'll tell me all this stuff, and I will be just dumbfounded because I'll be like, what the hell are you talking about?
That's happened to me too, yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
right? Or how about this? How about you write something and you think it's about this, but somebody comes up to you and goes, I got so much out of that, it was totally about my cousin from 4th grade, and you'll be like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why performing my work has changed my process, because I have gotten so many, I thought this way about it and I perceived it this way. And that was so interesting, because it's like, oh, well, I wrote it down this way. I saw it this way. So
I think that's kind of the coolest thing. And like Raindog was saying, before we went on air, we were talking a little bit about the difference. And I know this gets to be an ad nauseum thing. Actually, we should probably make it a regular segment on the show.
Okay.
Right, Paul, about the whole difference between performance poetry and written poetry.
very different.
Yeah, and we've had some spirited conversations about it and on previous shows here on Versed, and definitely within the poetry community all over the place. Either you want to talk a little bit about that differences, or your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Because again, going back to process,
Is that the doorbell? Is that the doorbell? Tell them we're on the air. We're on the air,
man.
We are on the air. All right. Hold 1 second. It wasn't pizza, was it? No. As long as it wasn't pizza, you can send them away. If it's pizza, tell them to come in and we'll let them tell a joke. All right. Pull the batteries out of it. We're good. We're back.
All right. Process. What was the question again? How do we go?
They had me at pizza. They
Yeah,
totally
Yeah,
had me
we
at
had
pizza.
pizza.
Page
difference-
versus- yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
page versus stage. Yeah,
Yep.
because my process has changed. A lot of my poetry used to be really, very much page poetry. It really sat on the page. But when I started performing, the poetry itself changed because I'd notice this part stumbles or that part, like when I read Little Memories, there's a line on the page that I took out for my performance. I left it in on the page, but my performance, I take it out because it stumbles when I perform it. So I take that line out and I replace it with stare into the space between atoms. I replaced a line. And so if you hear me perform it, it's a slightly different poem because I put a different line in when I'm performing it as versus, the page poem it is because it stumbles there, but it reads just fine. But as a performance piece, it kind of, it stumbles. There's a little bit of a stumble there. One of the best feelings in the world is hearing somebody you love tell you that they love you. One of the worst feelings in the world is hearing somebody you love tell you that they love you, but they don't mean it the same way you do. One of the best feelings in the world is knowing that and choosing to love them anyway. The only difficult or painful thing about it is not being able to express the essence of this emotion in the most direct, sensual, vulnerable, intimate way I know how. The only thing that makes the ache tolerable is I love you. So I'm over it, but I'll never be over you because there are little memories attached to objects left behind in the wake of your leaving. A scarf on a coat hook, an old sock of yours in the loneliest corner of the drawer. Baseball cap battered and worn, pulled low, hiding eyes, lost in time, wet with unshed tears. Awash in the tide of your presence still strong in my mind, sometimes still as a scent or a song. Have you ever been so broken that all you could do was sit and stare into the space between atoms as the words flow out of you like tears made of breath? I'm so sorry. I was lonely. Please forgive me. Until the world stills and seconds stretch and a door in the gloom opens. And all along it was right there, in my face. But until I was broken enough or empty enough, would I be ready to see this pattern clear as I drain away thoughts and words and tears. How striking, I thought. How could I have missed this? And I'm amazed at the way of it all as I shake my head clear with gentle laughter and an absurd twinkle in my eye, as I free my heart scarred, shining and beautiful, breathing on embers of love long believed cold and dead. Understand that love is eternal. Only we fade, get lost in distraction and desire. Love can outshine stars. It can reach out across time and touch you deeply, move you to lose you, to step through strange doors. Love strips away all that does not matter. I cannot even truly hate without having loved first, as a thing cannot be destroyed without having been created. Love drifts through life, a soft song on a summer breeze. And if you are lucky, you get to borrow it for a while, and it ends on a smile. For me, page and stage are one and the same. There's so much that it can go both ways. There's no real, to me, there's no delineation or line between this is this and this is that, because a stage poem can be a page poem easily. Whereas a page poem, sometimes it's not quite ready for the stage.
You definitely got to tweak it and work with it. Yep. Yeah.
So if I'm understanding, you're saying same art form, just a different segment of the same art form.
Well, it's a different medium. Like I write very much by hand. A lot of people will write on their phone. A lot of people, other people use the typewriter or the computer, and I've noticed for myself, when I type a poem, it comes out different. It comes out different than when I hand write a poem. So, it's all about process. And like I said, when I perform the poem itself changes, and I have a whole notebook now that's filled with the changed poem from what I originally. I'll recite it and be like, oh, I changed this line or I changed that line, because those because it works better. It just sounds better. And that's part of stage performance, is the sound of the words that you're saying, whereas page poetry is way more about the meaning. Like, this is exactly what I mean, whereas a stage poem is up for interpretation. It means it's about my cousin, or it's about this. And like, I don't intro things because I want you to take what you want from this poem rather than what I want to tell you, because it's a very personal thing. So if you wanna interpret it how you want, it's like any song or anything. It grows for you, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make you live inside my head. I'm just trying to get you to feel things.
Exactly.
So I can tell you, you guys know, I mean, I travel all over the Midwest. I talk to a bunch of different communities of poets, and I can tell you this is a discussion that's happening all over the Midwest. I've got a friend up in Stevens Point. I think I may have mentioned her on the show before or not. She's a poetry professor for UW, in the UW system for Stevens Point, teaches poetry up there. And I posed this question to her. And what she told me was, she said, same art form. She said, here's the difference to me. When I perform it, you're getting it how I want you to have it. When I get to read it off the page, I have time with that piece. I can experience it in my way as often or as little as I want to, for as long or as short as I want to, and I have time to dissect it and live in that piece more so than if I'm getting it live. And I'll tell you the experience I have with it. People will see me do a piece live and they'll say, I say, what'd you think? They'll say, James, that was great, but I need to hear it like 15 more times because I didn't get everything out of it. But if you have it in the book, you can sit in your chair and you can dissect it. You can look the words up and you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've been told that often about my writing. They're like, oh, send me the written down version. I'm like, it was open for interpretation. You took what you took. So, yeah, page and performance, man, I think they're one and the same as well. Because, like when me and Paul went down to Peoria, and I wrote specifically for them because I knew what they wanted. So that was me reaching into the performance aspect. But they liked aggression and they liked swearing and they liked like just meat to it. So
That's a particular audience.
yeah, it was a very particular audience, and it was just phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
the
Well, they're
reactions
so
that I got,
engaged.
and they all took away from it. So I thought that was really, really, really cool to be a part
that's
of.
you guys have mentioned, that's the Whisper and Shout mic down in Peoria. I think it happens on third Thursdays. Or
Yep.
First and
That
third
might be my
First and
favorite
third.
audience.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
big crowd.
Yeah.
Raindog. Yeah,
Huge.
there's probably, I think they sell like 150 tickets. It's structured a lot like Food for Thought is up in Milwaukee, which I know you featured at last week for your second time.
Third time, actually.
Third time.
That would be my third
Wow.
time there.
All right, cool.
Yep.
And same type of thing. You know, music in between. It's a high energy. It's
But it's a big room.
yeah. It's a big yeah. It's a big room.
Massive room with a lot
But
of nooks and
very
crannies.
engaged, and they'll give you feedback.
Oh yeah,
That-
yeah, they're
that is an
active
audience.
listeners.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about process, like I'll call it an artistic block, but or writer's block. Do you get writer's block? Yeah, let's go with Mazey on this one, where you're stuck.
She hates the word.
I did just recently get out of a writer's block by writing a poem about how mad I was that I was in a writer's block, and that's my poem called Mad. So that I performed that one a couple times, and I was like, all right, well, I need something new. So it really shoved me out of it because I was just so mad about it. So mad because I didn't write down the line I thought of in the middle of the night when I got up to use the bathroom. Mad because I didn't jump out of the shower to write it down with soaking wet hands. Mad because I didn't stop my car in the middle of the fast lane when I finally got a hold of it again. The fact that I hate the word block when used in a room full of writers. The fact that these pages won't bleed the words for me. The fact that I have to think of all of this shit myself. And it has to make sense too. I have to experience life in order to write something worth a fuck. Sorry I can't hang the moon in the night sky tonight. I have to savor every thought that enters my mind. Because I am mad I didn't act as soon as it barged in. I am mad I froze like the bank teller being screamed at for the vault's pin. I am mad that I can't categorize it as a break-in. I am mad that I didn't see it as a missing limb. I said, I am mad because I didn't act accordingly when it barged in. I let it run rampant, and my filing cabinet wasn't open enough to grab it. Every pen ran out of ink. Excuses used to propel me, to stare at this page a little longer, hoping and begging it will write itself. If I walked away and came back, the words would be there, edited and ready for my signature. But no, that's not how this works. Writing is a blessing and a curse. Even among the hundreds of lost poems I have, rummaging through them would only make a mess. My brain now could eat my old brain for breakfast. They simply have no use for me anymore. Those poems are fists in a nasty knife fight. I am face down, heaving over the butcher's block, wishing my skin was a notepad and my fingers bled black ink.
Truth be told, both Mazey and Raindog were here in the studio recording a couple pieces that you can hear on WBOM Full Service Radio, and Mad was one of those. So it was one of the things in my notes that said, leave that so we can mention.
Well, I got to tell the story. So
You got a story?
I was out in the green room. Yeah, I go on forever. I was out in the green room with Raindog while Mazey was recording her pieces, and he read to me a piece about writing, and so I was like, oh my gosh. Mazey just, like, I love Mad. So I was like, you have paired these two just right, James.
So what I'm hearing from producer Paul Savvy Magoo over there is your guess for the common thread between my guests today is
I don't know.
anger?
No, his poem is not anger.
Oh.
His poem is about who you're writing for, I think. It is, but it's about process and writing. And both of the poems, my response to each of the poems was you're writing for all of us. They were poems that should resonate with every poet. I mean, I have Mazey's anger, and I love what you said about writing, Raindog. So, I mean, so that would maybe, I don't know, writing for other poets, channeling our thoughts. Now I've talked way too long.
Back in the box.
That's so difficult.
Savvy, back in the box. So all of us met out under doing open mics. How do you guys feel about open mics? How do you feel about the culture? So, and for viewers that are out there, and you guys said where you were from. I know most of the open mics you go to, Mazey, are here in northern Illinois, or let's say northern and central Illinois. And Raindog he's been all the way up by my mic in Green Bay.
Yeah.
He's been talk a little bit about the open mics in your general areas. Why don't we start with Mazey with that?
They're all over the place. Everybody's different, and that's what's honestly really inspiring, because it's like you don't get to hear the same thing over and over again. With the mics down here, I would say like 98% of the time I've walked away with something that's like, I like that. I want to write something about that. There's a lot to pull away from. So I think the open mics down here are inspiring.
Would you say the scene has grown, let's say the last 6 to 12 months? From when you started coming to them to now, have you seen a growth in the number of open mics in the area, and then also in the participation at those open mics?
100%, because I first started performing in January after meeting Paul. And the first Nordloft I went to, which is Nordloft Theater, it's a, what's it called?
Certified Poetry Slam.
Yeah,
right
Certified
here
Poetry Slam, yeah.
Downtown Rockford.
It was 9 people, including myself. And now the last Nordloff I went to, there was 50 plus people.
Right.
And it's grown immensely. And I mean, kudos to Paul, promotion king.
I'd do it by myself.
No.
The quality of the poetry is what pulls people.
Exactly.
And all from his little box over there.
Yeah.
Well, it's more like a rock that I have to crawl back on.
Yeah, but I would say definitely the number of mics has tripled, honestly, and me taking on to myself, because there needs to be more space. Not everyone could be there on a Tuesday night. Not everyone could be there on a Friday night. So let's put some on Thursdays, let's put some on Wednesdays, and randomly have a Sunday one at Midtown, So really feed the people and their schedules and stuff like that. So then you ultimately run into new people and new faces and new poems. So that's the blessing of it.
You might need one in a different location, like Brockton.
Yeah, exactly. You got to branch out. Yeah.
Raindog, what do you see up in Wisconsin?
Up in Wisconsin, there's a lot of good open mics, a lot of culture going on. There is a lot of fighting that I've noticed. Like, people are just kind of at each other for no good reason whatsoever. So it's the scene. It's what it is. I enjoy it, and I try to just keep myself out of all the personal stuff.
Right.
I don't
agree
worry
with you.
about it because to me it's all about the poetry. It's all about
Yes.
getting up there and just getting on that mic and touching souls. That's what I'm here for. There's a lot of good open mics up by me, though. I mean, Linneman's, there's Food for Thought, and then your thing up on, what is it, the 2nd and 4th?
It kind of
Thursday?
it floats. It's on one of the later Thursdays until Christmas, but it's at the
Yeah.
Urban Culture and Art and Event Center up in Green Bay.
Yeah.
You've been up there a few times.
A couple of times, and it's a joy to be up there. And like Mazey was saying, there's just so many different voices to hear. You know, like everybody in this room is quite unique in how we write and what we say. Even though we all have that similar passion about poetry, we do all have very unique voices. You know, the authenticity in this room is pretty amazing right now.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I think fighting or drama within a scene, I don't see that coming from the artist. I think that's like almost like a venue thing or almost a promoter thing, especially up like in the Milwaukee area. Venues are out there to make money. Artists are out there to tell the truth and be authentic and peace and love and all that fun stuff.
Share some soul.
And I just, maybe we just come from different places. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is a lot of it because I've been to one or two where it very much seems like it's about the money, about getting people in the door, about
The
selling
cash
drinks
grab,
and all
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But then I go to like Linneman's or Food for Thought, and it is about the poetry. Your thing, it's about
Right.
the poetry. That's why we're here. We're not here to make money. We're not here to do any of that. The goal is to do poetry and touch souls. That's the goal. Everything else is cool that comes along with it. I like all of that stuff, but that is not my goal. I have to be careful when I laugh these days, as it turns to crying so easily. How the sound of joy and the sound of sorrow are so close together, it's like some cosmic joke, an actual awful nightmare. How rapture becomes despair in a heartbeat, yet in a heartbeat. A ray of sunshine can break through the storm, and rainbows form in tears still tasting of ache. Hidden rivers sway wide as smiles wake and take all that pain away, and a breath you didn't even know you'd had held lets go. And it is in this moment that sorrow returns to joy, and crying is accompanied by soft laughter.
Cigarette-painted lungs of real people that thought leaving would mean something, anything. What would Poe have to say about these rotten railways, dreadful days in this hateful place? The world has crumbled at the feet that meet the eyes of angels in the night. That's the last call, the only call. Sirens feed that fright. Desperate for the wrath of change, I found my pen has wanted to tear this page into oblivion, to make sense of this dog-hearted rage. Pining, surviving, maybe if I turn up the radio, I won't feel the earth shake. Maybe if I dance fast enough, the world would awake. Horns spawn upon the head of the insane. There is no magic to this fucked and twisted game. Capital vain. Corpse roll in their graves at the thought that remains true. Ripped out of the mouths of the sacred youth. March through streets that have thirst for retribution. Get outside of yourself. Imagine the unimaginable. Taste that madness. Test what saddens. And spit back at what has damned you.
Let me ask you this. What is your biggest challenge as an artist? We'll go to my right again.
I think what I've run into is I kind of want to touch back on what Raindog just said about the where people get personal in the scene. Is that's something I can't do. So that kind of sometimes can deteriorate my feeling about it. Like, I kind of get a little frustrated every now and then, but it's what comes with the work. What comes with the art. So I know my goal, and just like what Raindog just said, it's about the poetry. It's about me shedding my light onto this page, and I feel better about doing that. So. That harping harp was sold to the older man down the road ages ago. He doesn't even know how to play music. Just needed another clothes rack for his paranoid wife, whose youth was stolen from her. She has more clothes than worries now. She refuses to decorate for Christmas. It reminds her of a drunken father that never gifted her anything other than disappointment. She has more clothes than worries now. That older man is the ease to her pain. He gives her silence, sobriety, and domain. That's all she needs. A harp from the heart, an unplayable mystery that encapsulates hope for her youth. The child in her is hugged with each new article of clothing she dreamed was gifted to her. On Sunday evenings, the older man clears out the hallway in an attempt to make a fashion runway. She struts back and forth 30 times before she breaks down and cries. Tears of relief. She has more clothes than worries now. The older man sees her inside and out, chips away the sorrow embedded in her tiny blue veins, allows the child in her to breathe and be free in this beautiful, sober domain. It's their stage, and she's always the star of the show. She twirls and twirls. He'll always ask for an encore, because she has more clothes than worries now. She hardly frowns, besides when the mailman gets too close to the front door, timid to the outside world. The older man swore up and down to keep her safe and sound. So he covers the blinds and barricades the back and front doors, keeps buying her more and more clothes so she doesn't implode again. Every night she dresses up for dinner at home. He oozes over her, adores her evermore, till the light flickers, causing another uproar. She has more clothes than worries now, but he can't seem to settle her down. So he unscrews all the light bulbs and has the mail sent to another house. His paranoia foams from her mouth, day in and day out. At least her shoes will always match her blouse. She has more clothes, but he has all of the worries now. Yearning and desperately bound, this week when Sunday evening rolls around, he doesn't clear out the hallway and attempt to make a fashion runway. Instead, he sits her down, kisses her on the forehead, prepares himself for what he's about to spew out. He hasn't been going to work. He's replaced it with music lessons to play that harp. Before she can get a thought formed, he falls to his knees on the floor beside her, begging for forgiveness. She doesn't even understand what for. He feels as though he has failed her, and that this is his last-ditch effort to be her savior. She scoops him up and removes the clothes hung from the harp's neck. He hobbles over, as if he has just had a heart attack, and plays like his marriage depends upon it, plays directly from the love chamber in his heart that has her name branded on it. Sorrow, paranoia, and grief seep from her dark-circled eyes as the final act of release. The frantic child in her is finally freed. What was the question again?
Biggest challenge as an artist. Challenge as an artist.
Yeah, just keeping that work flow, like keeping those words going and knowing how to deal with writer's block if that comes, and not beating yourself up so much, and maybe go out and experience life for a little bit or something. So maybe that's my only challenge thus far, but I'm sure there'll be many more.
Biggest challenge. I think my biggest challenge right now is getting out there, getting into more spaces and doing more poetry, being around the scene more. I really despise saying that, the scene,
Right.
but it is the scene.
It's that.
Like I am really enjoying being down here in Rockford, somewhere away from what I've been doing. You know, because I'm used to all the people in Milwaukee that I've been around. I'm trying to touch more souls. I'm trying to get more fans, and trying to get more people into what I'm doing. So when I start getting the book out there and selling the book, maybe possibly I can stop doing my stupid ass job and do this full time.
I hear that.
So when you're saying you want to be a challenge being around the scene more, you're talking about like the life stuff, the stuff that we have to do, like laundry and going to work and fixing cars. And all of,
Yeah, and getting around all of that to get to this, because this is what I do. This is where I feel alive. I have a whole poem about being on stage and feeling alive. Like I have never felt more alive than when I'm on stage. So to me, the challenge is getting on stage more. Touching more souls, talking to more people, getting my poetry out there, getting more of this life that I really enjoy. So that's my challenge.
Interesting. We had DG Clearing on an earlier episode here. I've known DG for, you know what, I forgot where I was going with that. Unbelievable. I totally.
The life, the scene.
Huh? The life, the scene.
Yeah, challenges.
Touching more souls, spreading that world.
Yeah, I totally lost it. So I'm just going to forget about that. Maybe it was just,
Going to brag about having DG Clearing on.
Well, that could be too. But that's just a matter of just shining more lights on people in the scene and our versed family. I mean, because we are developing a family here on WBOM Full Service Radio.
So I've noticed, just this is our first week of taping.
Yeah.
Each of the poets you've brought in to pair with our local poet, that poet has gone on to our local scene and performed. And I've talked to other poets about it. They're influencing. Raindog, you perform tonight, you will influence poets who haven't heard you before. And that is cool to watch. So I've had a bunch of conversations this week.
Yeah, I can actually say that. You've mentioned it's kind of like a poetry graduate school for you.
For me, because it's been taping all day, and we've had an open mic every night. And, oh my gosh.
We've been lucky this week. We've had mics every day this week. Yeah.
I wanted to read a quote for you. I've read this, and again, I think this is probably going to be a regular thing for the show, at least this season. Everyone that knows me knows that I will quote ad nauseum. Producer Paul Savvy Magoo is going to roll his eyes right now because I'm going to mention Rick Rubin's
It's not
book.
a good thing on radio, rolling your eyes. It just doesn't work.
They can't see you, but that's probably why we're on radio. Rick Rubin's book, Creative Act, A Way of Being. The quote on the first page of that book is from Robert Henry, is the goal is not to make great art, but rather to live a creative life that makes great art inevitable.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's never gets old. Go ahead. Read that every episode.
If each of you could just kind of touch on that, how do you go about living a creative life? Do you structure your day creatively? Do you write at the same time? Or are you, I can tell you for me, I'm a channeler. I wait for it. I'm comfortable when it's not there, and I'm insane when it comes.
And, very well said. Yeah.
And it may be, I could be driving on the highway or wherever I am, I stop what I'm doing, and I allow that connection to happen.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. Could you talk a little bit? Do you feel the same way or differently? Or
I kind of feel the same way because I kind of just let it come when it comes, and there's times where it will completely jump for me. But what you just said kind of blew me away, so I kind of forgot about the question, but re-say the question, please.
So the question, so it's just a matter of, referencing the quote from Robert Henry about living a creative life. How do you structure your days and your creative process through those days?
I definitely am a believer of what comes in comes out. So I'm very particular on what I'm watching, what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to around the times in which I want to be writing. So if I'm listening to a silly podcast and I want to write, then I should probably put that away. And I focus more on, I want to listen to this. And that's what sets me into the mood. Like this week I was listening to Bon Iver and I pumped out 4 pieces. My God. So it's what comes in is what comes out. And I'm a firm believer on that.
Gluey feathers on the flume?
Yeah.
Bon Iver, the energy is strong with this one.
Yep.
Yes.
He is, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think, Raindog? Any...
Oh, man. That book, I'm so glad you turned me on to that book. That's such a great quote. I love that. I try to live very much a creative life. I think for me, I try very much to write every single day, 15 minutes a day, even if it's garbage. I just keep writing. But I do love those moments when the lightning hits and you've just got it. And I've sat for hours just writing. But yeah, there are days that go by that I forget. I try not to these days, but there's a lot to be said about living a creative life. And when I'm at work, I have a job that I can stop and write a poem. And
Me too.
I have a whole
Very grateful for that.
I have a whole stack of little work notes in a folder at home that I call them work poems that I still got to go through because I jot down all this stuff, and occasionally it makes it into an actual notebook. But there's a lot of poems that don't make it in, that are just kind of out there.
Yeah.
So often, I only seem to know what to say once the damage done has left me breathless and bleeding. Words wash up on walls, battlements born of boundaries broken in a war of blame that burned down bridges built in the name of searching for found and lost love. But always remember that though these once full fields now lay fallow, my love is a poet warrior, forged in fire, born for this battle. And though these bridges built may have burned, that's a river, and I can swim. I try to live very much a poetic life and write whenever I can. And lightning strikes when lightning strikes, and sometimes it doesn't. And you're just kind of like chiseling away at what you're doing.
It's interesting because out of all the guests, we haven't really touched on that where, the three of us especially have that same thing. We're like, listen, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to walk away from it. And sometimes, in traditional Irish fashion, I'm not even going to say anything to you. I'm just going to disappear. And I'm going to go and I'm going to write. If it's coming to me, I'm going to write. And I'm going to come back. And I think people that I stay with or people that I spend time with, they know that about me now. So when I disappear, they're like, he's probably in the bathroom writing or something, it's just how it is, I'm sure it's the same at work, or if they notice, they'd be like, you got a phone call, you'd be like, hang on.
I got it.
I got this going on. Yeah. So, before we get to our common thread, I want to talk a little bit about influences. And when I say influences, I'm not just talking about poets. You both know me well enough to know that, I will sit and talk about Miles Davis and his influence on me in the creative process, Anthony Bourdain, things like that. So while, you tell me about your poetic influences, but what I'm really interested in and what I think versed listeners want to hear is about maybe the ancillary ones, like the Bon Ivers that that you listen to when you're looking for inspiration, or what are some of those influences? We can go there for sure.
All right. Well, mine definitely is. I know exactly when it was because when I was 12, I watched the Doors movie for the first time. Never heard the Doors, never anything. Fell in love with Jim Morrison, and the first thing that you find out about Jim Morrison is that he's a poet. And I thought that was more interesting than the fact that he was a rock star. So I read everything that he's ever written. I felt like I have all of his journals. But that's where it started, where I was like, I love him so much, I want to write poetry too. I want to be just like him. That's cool. So that was like greatest influence, greatest shove into writing. And I'm so enveloped by that. So that was main and sole influence that I've had. But do I write like him? No. So that's come from just me freestyling it. But yeah, he was Jim Morrison, I'd say. Yep.
What's cool about that, both of you, I know I've participated in workshops that I've put out. Raindog has been to, I know, more than one. But authenticity is a big thing that I talk about. I can do James Hamilton better than anyone can do James Hamilton. And it's interesting when you say that and you say, he was Jim Morrison. And I don't write like him. You shouldn't. You should write like Mazey Knox because you can do her better than anyone else.
Exactly. And that's kind of what Jim Morrison taught me to do because he was the oddball of it all. He really was. So
most definitely. Yeah. Great movie. Oliver Stone. And
incredible. Val Kilmer.
Incredible movie, yeah. Influences, Raindog.
Oh, so many influences. My first poet that I fell in love with was Henry Rollins. Was my first poet. Yeah, I love Henry. I own pretty much all of his work, including all the stuff that he did as just kind of a journalist. He has a lot of stuff. He wrote his articles. He's just an amazing writer all the way around. But if we're talking ancillary influences like film, David Lynch, Terry Gilliam films, just these wild, psychedelic, trippy things. Or, what is that guy's name? Jodorowsky?
Yep.
He did this film called El Topo that just I watched. It's still burned in my brain of like, what was that? That was insane. I love that. That's awesome. And then there's all the music. Like I'm a heavy metal guy, and most people all they hear is. But if you actually read the lyrics, these guys are some really good poets out there. There's some really good ones. Parkway Drive
Bruce
is
Dickinson.
Bruce Dickinson, but Parkway Drive is probably my favorite as of late. Their lyrics are just off the hook good.
I like Black Sabbath.
What's up?
Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. That's why. Yeah, it's one of mine.
We miss Ozzy. We miss Ozzy.
We do.
Right, we just lost Ozzy. I don't know when this episode's going to air, but we're sitting here about less than 2 weeks since Ozzy passed.
Yeah, about 2.
Yeah, so most definitely for me. I mentioned Miles Davis. I mentioned Anthony Bourdain. When it comes to performing, for me, I can put on Frank Sinatra Live at the Sands, my favorite live album of all time. The way Frank could work a crowd, his phrasing, all the breathing, I think that's where when I perform, I get that breath control and phrasing from him. I hear it in my performances when I play them back to me. And a lot of people go, wow, that's just different. I'm always interested to talk to other poets and artists and see where they get the little tidbits of things from, like that. Henry Rollins is a good one. He's a good one. Yeah, and lyrics, even back to the punk days, I mean, there was some strong stuff coming out of there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for real. So we're getting close. We're getting closer to wrapping her up. Common thread, you guys been thinking about it? Common thread between the two of you?
Handful of similarities.
We're not going to get there yet. You still got time, but think about it.
Actually, I have a guess.
You have a guess?
I do.
Take a guess. If you get it, I'll tell you. So take a guess.
We are both super passionate about poetry. It's our life.
That could be the theme every day.
It
could be.
Could be.
That was one of the guesses yesterday.
It was. Huh. Yeah. No.
I got a guess. I got a guess.
All right,
Maybe
what's your guess?
We both had the same answer on individuality. Like there's the scene, but then there's us, and it's like then it comes to the passion of poetry. Then that spreads everywhere. So yeah, I'm right.
You're talking about your own authenticity. You
It's
are
everywhere.
very individual.
Yeah.
You each do your own thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
But that's everyone. That's everyone.
Yeah.
Nope, not yet. So I'll just add this. Remember, the similarities or the synergy between the two of you it was created inside of here. I'm just going to throw that back.
So we're never
out.
going to guess.
That's
a strange place.
It's a strange place. But before we get there, just keep thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Before we get there, what I like to do is give you a last word. So if there's something that's inside that you want to get out there to the world at large, or shout out mom, grandma, kids, whatever else you got going in, the last word, something that hey, I was going to be on the radio today, I got to make sure I say this. Do not take that shit with you. Please leave it here, and this is the time to do it. So free writing, free speaking, whatever you want to say to the world. We'll go with Raindog first.
Oh man, I don't know. The only thing I really have to say is, if you're an artist, keep making art, man, and love as hard as you can, because life is short, dude. And love as much as you can. Your fellow poets, strangers you meet on the street, everybody. You just try to love as much as you can and have as much poetry and art in your life as you can, because life is freaking short, man. So That's all I really got to say is I'm just in love with this life, and it's gotten so much better over the last year, having started performing my poetry, and man, I've never been so admired in my life, and it feels so really, really good, and a little strange, a little weird, and I'm digging it.
You bring a lot of joy. Having been in the audience in Milwaukee for one of your performances, you bring a lot of joy to a lot of people. I mean, I was the positive reactions around me and my own, so I get why you get that reaction.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I love how you said, keep making art and then the fact that, the attention and that makes you feel good. Because I feel like in this country, in general, we don't have respect for the arts like they do in other countries.
Yeah.
I think that, overseas, Europe, it is an integral part of society. And I think here, to some extent, it's considered a luxury.
Yeah.
And I just, so I really love it when, we're out there, we're being authentic, but, we're all just saying, just listen, you don't have to like me, just like art. If you don't like me, there's somebody else. And move on, please,
Yeah.
And I just think here we just, we have a tendency in this country to want to dissect everything and not just appreciate it. And if you can't appreciate it, move on. So I appreciate what you said there. I like that.
Thank you.
Mazey, last word.
I definitely appreciate what Raindog said. It definitely took all the words out of my mouth. But for me, I'm glad that I stood up, made eye contact, and shook the hand to Paul. Like, this kind of, it pushed me to, because I was a closeted poet that I didn't even tell anybody I was a poet, because it was like, oh, Mazey, like, what? But
You were so outgoing when I met you.
and which is strange because I wasn't like that. I just kind of was like, maybe, I don't know, lightning then. It must have
I
been.
nicknamed you Moxie that first evening with Susan Goldberg was across the table from me, and we were like, this person has guts.
Yeah.
You were putting it out there.
Yeah, so maybe my final word is trust your gut. Stand up, shake that hand, make that eye contact, and just do it. And that's where I am, what month is this? We're 8 months later, and I'm on a radio show. Like, you never know. So definitely don't second guess yourself.
And you've already
just do
featured.
it. Just do it. Yep, I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So pushing to publish.
Pushing to publish.
Pushing to publish.
You hear that, publishers? Mazey Knox is looking for a publisher. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, I don't think I can improve on that. That was wonderful. All right, so we're getting close to the end. So the common thread, Twan, you got a guess?
Man, I don't know the word to say, but I know y'all are very, I ain't gonna say personal, but it's like, you say, because I don't know about the closet poet, but I feel like how you started, how y'all started to getting out right now. Because when I first met Raindog, he told me this. He been doing poetry for like 30-some years or something, but he just started performing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when I got to see him perform, it gave me a lot of inspiration. When I got to see Moxie perform, she was at Paul's house, and she just wrote a new poem. And I got to see that, so.
So common thread is inspiration?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Paul Savvy Magoo, what do you think?
I still think they both have the ability to write for other writers, to write the things that other poets are thinking. And I love that. I mean, and I've heard you both do poems where I was like, yes, say it. So that's my thought.
Thank you, Paul.
My brain does not work that way, Paul. I'm just telling you. Does not work that way. So I'll tell you what the common thread is between us. It's old souls. It is old souls.
Right there, boom.
It is old souls. It is, in conversations that we've had, I mean, the Jim Morrison thing, the old school music thing, just the historical and appreciation for what came before.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I talk about some old shit because I'm old, let's face it, and I know that Paul Savvy Magoo Goddard, our producer over here, he talks about some old stuff.
I thought you were going to say I'm old, which is true.
No, but my point is that these two gifted poets that are sitting at the table with me, you never give a cross-eyed look or a slant-eyed look, because you appreciate stuff, and you guys have an uncanny ability to appreciate what has come before. Ooh. So
wow.
Old Soul was the common thread. I was gonna say Lost in the '60s, and I had but I was like,
well, that one's true too.
It is,
but it's not why you put them together.
And then I had green tinted '60s mind in my head. I was like, but they're gonna be like, no, that's just weird.
Maybe too specific.
Too specific, yeah, for sure. So Old Soul is what it was. And that was the common thread between our guests today.
Wow.
Nice.
So
I like that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Raindog. Thank you, Mazey Knox, for coming out, adding your names to the Versed family. It was a pleasure to have you guys, most definitely. Thanks to Twan Suggs for recording this, and thanks to producer Paul Savvy Magoo.
Always a pleasure.
From his box over there. I am James Hamilton. From the rest of the team at WBOM Full Service Radio, we are signing off. Peace out.